Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, and still continuing the extreme films that I've been doing, but this is definitely one of the more interesting ones that I've done, and I really enjoyed it. It's the first film by Elias Marriage, who, I probably pronounced that wrong. He went on to do Shadow of the Vampire, the fictionalized film of John Malkovich, Willem Dafoe, about the making of Nosferatu, and that is Begotten, which it first premiered in festivals in '89. I think it was first officially released in 1990. This is a bootleg. Um, this is one of those first films that started the uh, copy cult because it's been so scarce of getting an actual copy that you'll mostly just find bootlegs online. Official copies can be very pricey, but I mean, this is very well done. And I mean, you can read everything. The menus. The only feature it has is a trailer, but it has everything. The transfer is awesome. I really enjoyed this film, and I mean, it's only 72 minutes. This says 78. The back of this says 78. The actual running time, both when you check it on the screen and on Wikipedia, says 72. Don't know where those extra 6 minutes were, but I do know some things were cut, which I'll get to, which is towards the end. A while back, I reviewed David Lynch's first film, Eraserhead, which I'm a huge fan of. And I said how Eraserhead is like the closest I've ever seen to having an actual nightmare, like a surreal nightmare on film. I still stand by that, but even more so with this film. This is so avant-garde, surreal, experimental. This is an experimental film. Originally, it was supposed to be a stage production with songs and dance and all that, but Marriage thought it would have been too expensive, so we switched to film. Several films, like films by um, Kurosawa, definitely the German Expressionist movement, particularly the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which I love dearly. I love the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. He did a wonderful job at capturing the look and the feel of the 20s silent German Expressionist film. There's no dialogue, obviously. There's really no music or score. It's just sound effects. You might get a few scenes of like an ominous sounding like, but it's mostly like crickets or birds chirping, or the scene we're in like a cavernous area, like sounds of water dripping. But it's got the grit and the grain of films of that era. So sometimes, like when a scene will open up, it'll kind of have like this pulsating darkness as it gets brighter. And the cinematography is just both eerie and beautiful at the same time. It's going to be kind of a strange review because this film has been extensively analyzed and thought about. I do know that both Antonin Artaud, Nietzsche, other philosophers were very influential on this. It seems to be either allegorical or a certain kind of telling of creationism. This isn't gonna... Lots of themes of death and rebirth, religion, mythology, and the occult. I mean, I could make a whole a whole video just about the interpretations of this film. I'm pretty much just going to go through what's on it, what I got from it, but the thing that I got the most out of it was it does seem to be death and rebirth, but also having it. I do see a little bit of the creationism in it. Or just what humans have done to the earth. I've seen bits and pieces of, but I know what Darren Aronofsky's Mother is about. From what I've seen, I kind of see the pretentiousness that people give Mother. I'll say it's much better done with this film. I don't... I didn't get any pretentious vibes from this. Basically, okay, it starts out with... I'm sure people have seen this GIF with this sort of convulsing person. That's the character known as God killing himself. And these shots are very eerie. Whether it be the masks they use, the body movements the actors do. He has a straight razor and he cuts himself open. From that comes this woman who... I'm trying to remember exactly how... I thought it was like a separate thing, but I guess it was the corpse. But she gets it to arousal. I'm going to say graphic warning here. It's not as bad as other films that had the warning on it, but... And also the contrast with the black and white, it's just enough so you can make out what you're seeing. She gets the corpse to arousal, stimulates it, get an up-close shot of her abdomen with the semen landing on her. She kind of takes her hand, goes all the way down. Get a very long scene of very hairy bush as she inseminates herself. But then, up-close shot of that as well. But then we get this very beautiful shot because it goes to black and then we sort of get that pulsating with like the darkness as the scene opens up of this barren field, this barren almost wasteland, or not wasteland, landscape. She is the mother of Earth. She has her son, which is the son of Earth, who is this malformed, abrasive-skinned man who's also convulsing. Think of like the Tool's Stinkfist video, that sort of sandy skin. Kind of looks like that, but laying there, like convulsing. She abandons him, leaves him to fend for himself, and these creepy-looking, faceless nomads, I guess you could say, they come and they start to beat on him, and he vomits these, I'm guessing, organic pieces of earth, which they take as gifts. They seize him by his umbilical cord, and they're dragging him. and he vomits those up, and when he's done, they throw him in a fire pit, which kills him. But then in the next scene, he's resurrected. He's back with the Mother of Earth, and she's kind of cradling him. He's this time he's still convulsing, but he's pale skinned. He doesn't look as messed up as when we first saw him. But even like scenes like this, like when he's just laying there convulsing, it's very eerie, and just with the cracks of the and pops of the film and the silence, it really creates an atmosphere that I absolutely loved while watching it. The nomads return, they start beating on him. The mother watches from a distance. Then they turn their attention to her. They beat on her. They disembowel her, rape her. But also, before that, I'm pretty sure it showed what she sees off in the distance when they're beating on the sun. And it's like this far away, wide angle shot. They're on like these, it's down by the water, this like rocky terrain. They're like this big on the screen, like far away, and I thought that was a wonderful shot as well. They take her to this cavernous area where we hear just the drips of like a cave. They kind of bury her within the crust, sort of the crust of the earth. And then you got this really creepy scene. Other scenes are very eerie and creepy just because of how it's filmed. And we see the son of Earth. He's down by the beach. He's trying to crawl. He's still convulsing. And I'm guessing they're different than the nomads because these are like heavily dressed. Take like a stereotypical straw hat that like a scarecrow would wear, but like covering most of the shoulders up. They're the ones that killed and buried the Mother of Earth. He's trying to crawl away, and we just get this up close of them. It's slow motion, but you can tell they're running towards him. They kill him, like they put this sack over him, and it's from a distance up on a cliff, hitting him with a huge hammer. Then they bury him. And we see that they're like it looks like they're planting like organs, like their insides in different parts. Or that's what's coming out of the ground. But eventually that area becomes full of plant life, flowers. And from what I've read online, at this part of the film, we're supposed to get grainy photographs of this scene again. And then we get a scene of the Mother of Earth, again, dragging the Son of Earth, again, by his umbilical cord, which is always around his neck. Only this time, instead of a barren landscape, they're now in a forest. A very creepy looking forest. You know, because it's got this kind of look throughout the whole film, so everything looks eerie and creepy. But while watching it, that must have been part of the 6 minutes that was cut, because this image does not pop back up. And the scene of them in the forest is very short. It does open up with text as well that I don't remember. It doesn't say it on here, but it does talk about like a fire going out, talks about death and rebirth. So, I mean, that's the plot, but it's so heavy with its Surreal Imagery, and I have heard people saying this film is very boring. This is definitely not a film for everybody. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it for the same reasons that I love Eraserhead. But, you know, there were scenes that just, with the silent German expressionist approach that this film has, it really had this eerie atmosphere, eerie, creepy look. Like the way the Son of Earth was like convulsing, the look of the robed men as they're always going after them, the look of the forest at the end, the certain shots like from Mother of Earth's point of view when they're attacking the Son of Earth the second time down on the rocks, that far away shot. Very, very eerie imagery accompanied by the very minimalist sound. But, you know, a lot of it was ignored by a lot of mainstream critics, but the critics that did see it, you know, one of the 10 most important films of modern times, Susan Sontag, Richard Corliss of Time, one of the 10 best pictures of the year. Even on the back of this, it talks about, you know, reenacted, you know, the creation, the nativity of creation, the nativity, and Jesus' torture and death on Golgotha. No names, no dialogue, no compromises, no exit, no apologies. This did get a short sequel into a short film sequel called A Din of Something Birds. A Din of Celestial Birds. It was a short film in 2006 that I didn't see, but that focuses on the theory of evolution. I can't even click on it so I can see how long it is. But that was inspired by like Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which I have and still need to see. But yeah, I mean the themes of this film are definitely there. You can definitely pick up on it. From what I've heard about Aronofsky's mother and from what I've seen, it's like a similar kind of premise or what it's trying to say, but I don't get the pretentiousness that I felt with what I've seen from Mother with this. This just seemed like a very interesting, very engrossing, incredibly atmospheric, very eerie and creepy experiment of a film. It is a very experimental film, and I really enjoyed it. Can I recommend it? It's definitely not a film for everybody. If you don't like silent films, you're already not going to like it. If it really does kind of feel like an hour-long kind of music video without the music, I think a lot of people will kind of see it that way. But, you know, just watching it for the first time, I can't express how much I really was intrigued interested, engrossed, and just really into this. I mean, it's only 72 minutes. It's very short, but I wanted it to keep going. It is pretty hard to find. You're most likely going to get a bootleg like this, but even for a bootleg, this is a hell of a copy. I don't know why I keep thinking. I probably keep thinking it's German because it does such a good job with the German expressionist approach to it. I could probably say I loved this film. I thought this, to me, like people want to call Martyrs, Human Centipede, and Serbian Film. I've talked about this before. They want to call those artsy or artistic horror films. To me, this is art. All film is art, but this actually feels artistic, like it's doing something completely fucking different. Very abstract, very avant-garde, surreal. Even if this wasn't a horror film, just a different look at this aspect of creationism or creation. Just the imagery is very fucking eerie and creepy, atmospheric. Again, whether it be, I'm sure people have seen this GIF before. I've seen it all over the place on the internet. Certain scenes with the convulsing Son of Earth, just different shots of the robed nomads, especially after they bury the mother and go after the son again on the beach. That up close, slow motion, like run. Just with that ominous sound of impending doom. I know I sound like shit again. These fucking allergies, I'm telling you. Begotten, just... It literally is a trip. It's one hell of a trip. I loved it. I got great enjoyment out of it. If you liked Eraserhead and just like weird shit like that, definitely give this a look if you can find it. I love Begotten. But anyway, thank you for watching.